Life in an encampment is hard, and I can tell you that if I were arrested or fined for doing Jesus, that would only make me want to be poor. How would that fix anything? How would that have helped me get out of the situation I was in? To someone from the outside, we might look like we are lazy, like we don't want to work, or move on with our lives. Yet tell me, how can you get a job or live in a place that could be wiped out at the end of your shift? If it is, then you have nowhere to sleep to prepare for your next day. That reason alone is often why people get stuck in these situations. They tell us that we should use drugs in the privacy of our own home, but it's hard to do that when you have no home to use them in. People who have a bottle of fancy wine after a long day of work are considered classy, while someone who uses drugs at the end of their day to cope with their pain is criminalized. Shame! How can living in a homeless life get better by hurting the person even more? When I was in an encampment, what I needed most was access to housing and genuine support and compassion. What I needed most was for the city to be on my side, for workers to support me, and to not see me as if I was a threat to homelessness.
There we go.
I am a caring person, a concerned citizen, I volunteer, and I have skills and goals in my life. And most others living in encampments are just like me. They don't need to be sent to jail to experience even more trauma, or to be ticketed with a huge fine they will never be able to pay. Imagine what that does to you if you are poor. How hopeless would you feel? Bill 6 is completely out of touch with the needs of people in encampments, and sees them as the enemy instead of as residents who have worth and deserve to live dignified lives. We invite Doug Ford and those who are supporting this bill to meet with us and hear our stories. If you really wish to help in encampments, meet with us to understand what it's like to be very poor while you have chronic pain and are dealing with trauma. We desperately need to make legislation that actually helps people exit poverty, get housed, and access to low-barrier health care and mental health support. We have more to offer than you think. Incredible people live in encampments that are fighting for their lives, their incredible talents going to waste because they're in survival mode and further criminalized with legislation like Bill 6. They deserve real interventions that actually help them get into better situations, not worse. Thank you.
I'm pleased to invite to the next longtime advocate for housing justice and community worker Kevin Wilson from the Toronto Harm Reduction Advocacy Center.
How y'all doing today? Welcome from the South Water Creek Park. It's really wonderful to see so many of you here today. The weather isn't perfect, but I have to believe it's better than ahead. It's wonderful to see so many of you here. I see lots of familiar faces, lots of folks that come from not so familiar faces, but they're friends I just haven't yet met. And I couldn't ask that as a group of people to spend my day with. This is one thing. I'm so angry.
Yeah.
How many of you are angry like I am? I'm angry about so many things. I'm angry that it feels like it was just a few minutes ago that we were here on these grounds trying to draw attention to Doug Ford and Sylvia Jones' dangerous plan to shut down 10 supervised consumption sites across Ontario, 5 of them right here in Toronto. And while that fight continues, and the judge has granted an injunction that keeps the site potentially alive, most of those SCSs are closed down. And the lost wealth of many years is enormous. The damage done to people who use drugs, like me, the frontline workers.
How was the political race?
I don't
know.
Chat after.
And I'm angry that in the blink of an eye, Doug Ford has gone from talking about taking a loose strap of dignity people like me, we're finally able to enjoy the Bill 6. Moving to space, to keep us safe from overdose, makes me angry. Bill 6 would give Doug Ford's government the power to lock people like me up, force me into treatment against my will, for a problem that I may not even have. The police and I were shut down our SCS for locking up and forcing us into unwanted medical procedures. Boy, that escalated quickly. It's almost as if Doug Ford thinks that we are not capable of thinking for ourselves. That we don't have free will. That we don't have the things that make us human. It's as if the Premier thinks that if you use drugs, you are basically not human, or if you're unhoused. And that makes me incredibly angry, but not nearly as angry as this. A few weeks ago, there was an opinion piece that appeared in the Toronto Star regarding the closure of the SES and reference to heart health. You've heard of these homeless and recovery treatment where if you're unhoused or addicted, and Doug seems to think that all drug users are homeless and all homeless people are drug users, you can be better, you can be treated. Because in this government's mind, people are being broken and need to be fixed. The article in the Star noted that the Heart Hubs follow an abstinence-based model, so harm reduction and supervised consumption are known as
The whole thing.
there are two approaches with proven evidence-based track record, but they're not on offer. The last time we gathered here, I myself was homeless. And I'm proud to report to you today that I stand here and I'm no longer unhoused. My housing situation is not perfect and it's still a bit precarious, but my living arrangements are moving in the right direction. The reason that happened is because I went through the doors of a supervised consumption site. That site has now been closed down, thanks to Doug Ford. And because I went through those doors of that SCS, I was connected to support and supporters. People who helped me to get back on my feet, helped me to get housed. Which brings me back to that article, which noted the research was the strongest, biggest determinant of whether or not a person's treatment for a substance use disorder is whether or not they've used a supervised consumption site. And Doug Ford's Heart Hubs, by not offering supervised consumption, are likely to fail. So to recap, the government demolished the treatment method that yours alive.
No, it's All Saints Church, 1 o'clock, they're going to have food, and then at 2 o'clock we're going to march through
To replace it with
King
something
Set.
that fails to address the lot of life you know is coming.
And Sherburne.
It doesn't
Yeah, in the
problems in need of fixing. And
drive
isn't
of
really
the
gonna
parking lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then they
It's just so goddamn infuriating.
Where they have that
Can you feel my anger?
Christmas.
Are you as angry as I am? So I put the question to you, what are you going to do with all that anger?
No food and
Yeah, they do.
I can't tell you what you
There
do.
will be food.
So I'll urge you not to lash out.
Yeah, church.
Because the government is banking on you doing that.
Hey Lynn, how's it going?
Good.
Yeah, so
I will tell you
something
what
in
I'm
my
going
hat.
to do with all my anger. I'm going to channel it. I'm going to harness it. And I'm going to use it to fight Bill 6 and Doug Ford in every possible way, on every possible space. I pledge to you that as long as I am dressed in my body, Doug Ford and any member of his caucus will never know a moment's peace. I will connect with friends, allies, and like-minded souls to fight this travesty of a bill in the court of public opinion, in the courts of law, at the ballot box, with direct action to expose the Premier as the snake oil and the snake oil salesman they are. All the people in addition to the dehumanizing experiences we will ever have, I refuse to go backwards. No matter how little thought of our humanity, Doug Ford and Sylvia Jones, and any member of the trained steel caucus that has got back there, the only way ahead for us is
It's with
forward
Robin Lennox,
together.
NDP.
So march again.
She's a family
Day
physician
29,
who has been
2025, is the
running
day
safe
we
consumption
reclaim our
sites for a long
humanity.
time.
Thank you.
Yeah, you just scan it and fill it in and put your name forward because she wants to tell Doug Ford how many signatures she
Now I
gets.
want to welcome Brad Evoy, a community organizer with the Disability Justice Network.
Thank you.
Hello, folks. My name is Brad Eagle. I'm the Executive Director of Disability Justice Network of Ontario and a member of the Housing Big Money Nation. Now, I'm honored to be here with all of you at Queen's Park to resist this bill and to push back on the criminalization of unhoused people across Ontario. Now, I was here a few days ago to talk about the horrifying death and abuse that's happening in Ontario's group home system. It's an actual crisis happening right now for disabled people that this government is doing nothing yet about. And we sat in on question period earlier this week, and I want to tell you a little bit about what they're saying in that. And what they're saying is, congratulations to themselves. Every second, every breath, every bit of air that they're spending in Queen's Park right now is to tell themselves, good job. And they're telling themselves over and over again that they are protecting Ontario. But what we know here is what they really want to protect is the profits of the rich, the comfort. They want to protect the comfort of the ruling class. And they want to protect landlords and developers from any accountability. Unlike the roaring self-congratulations from inside, I know here we want to protect our communities to make actually accessible, affordable housing a reality for all. Now, with this bill, we know that the power of the police and other officials will only be used to further criminalize disabled and housed folks, to drive them out of our communities where they are and have always been our neighbors. And we know this because it's already happening, with existing police powers that will only worsen with this bill. And now this is happening all over the province right now. This is why there are rallies happening all over. But I want to take a moment to talk a little bit about what's happening in Hamilton, Ontario. In Hamilton right now, there are protests happening outside of Hamilton City Hall, where unhoused folks are actively calling attention to the sheer brutality of enforcement there. It wasn't enough to abandon hard-fought and veteran handling approaches there. It wasn't enough to fight in court to violate the rights of unhoused people all across this province, no. Now, unhoused folks in Hamilton are literally being hunted in the back forests in Hamilton, along with the old rail trail, and being criminalized before this bill even comes to pass. Disabled, Indigenous, unhoused folks are literally being driven in that city beyond the margins. And if that's what's happening now, what will police and bylaw enforcement and any rinky-dink security that cities and municipalities hire do with the full power of this bill? For disabled people, when we hear talk of criminalization of disabled and unhoused folks or drug users around mental health, whenever this bill and related bills are brought forward, we know what this means. We are heading ever more quickly back to systems of institutionalization, where people deemed unfit by the state and ruling class like us are locked up one way or another. Because the only answer that this government and their contemporaries in other provinces seem to have is to undermine every system of housing, care, and support, and to replace it with more police, security, more prisons, and more places to stuff us all away as undesirable. And we know the consequences of this kind of criminalization and institutionalization already. Look at the countless deaths of disabled people and seniors in group homes, in long-term care homes, and most certainly in Ontario's prisons. If this bill passes and more people are criminalized or shoved into unregulated, so-called treatment facilities, the list of deaths will only get longer, friends. Now, as the Human Rights Commission has stated in the Office of the Federal Housing Advocate, as stated previously, people with disabilities are more likely to experience homelessness in the first place because of violence or abuse, and these numbers are even higher for women with disabilities. People with disabilities are more likely to miss a rent or mortgage payment because of financial issues than people without disabilities. 45% of disabled people who are unhoused state that money across the country is the reason. And we know that the number of unhoused ODSP and OW recipients has doubled since the pandemic began, and that many more of our unhoused neighbors are kept from these services due to barriers to being unhoused, as we've already heard today. And of course, just to say too, folks who are unhoused are losing money from ODSP and OW. They do not get housing allowances to afford housing. But if you just think about that for a minute, like, can you imagine the sheer cruelty of the bureaucracy here? To deny people funding for housing while they're unhoused. But if you look online and what the government is saying during this National Accessibility Week, that's what this is according to the Feds, they're congratulating themselves on ODSP and housing too. But we know that what we really need isn't constant cuts and more police. We need massive increases to ODSP and OW. As other folks have said, we need real, full rent control and a restoration of state protection. Instead, Bill 6, along with Bill 10, that's going to turn your landlord into a drug cop, and Bill 25, that's going to force social services into silence for not following the province's party line, will only bring fines and jail time on disabled people who can't afford it anyway, and just to institutionalize us further. We have to see this for what it is. This is a move to retrench violence and dispossession and death even deeper in Ontario society. To get all of us to see this as normal, to accept the position that is clear from the ruling class, that to them, marginalized people's lives aren't worth the same as the next person. When all we need is housing and funding for the supports to thrive in our communities. This, my friends, is the Ontario we're speeding ever faster towards. This is the legacy that this government is building. And this will only lead to more death, more disablement, and more loss for all disabled people. We cannot stop or let up. We cannot let this government normalize violence and death that this bill will bring, and will bring when it is brought into law today. We have to continue to fight until every single and interconnected bill that this government is going to pass is overturned and justice is found for every single person that this government harms now. So friends, as you've heard already today many times, we need housing, not jail time. Housing! Not jail time! Housing! Housing! Not jail time! Housing! Not jail time! I want that board to hear you in there, folks. Housing! Not jail time! Housing! Not jail time! Hell yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad, and thank you to all the community advocates that joined today to share with us all the frustration and rage that this heartless and damaging legislation has us feeling. This bill, as was mentioned, the resistance to this bill is not partisan. We are also joined today from some elected officials who would like to add their voices to our chorus of resistance and that we are generating here today. First up, I want to welcome the NDP caucus.
Thank you everyone for being here today. I would like to acknowledge that within our NDP caucus, MPP Alexa Gilmore was here supporting the rally, was unable to speak today, but wanted you to know that she is outraged with Bill 6 and that she has been and will continue to fight against it alongside all of you. I am Robin Lennox. I'm the MPP for Hamilton Center. But before joining the NDP caucus 2 months ago, I was a family physician working in Hamilton, primarily caring for people who are unhoused and people who use drugs. And I was one of the founders of the only community serving safe consumption site in Hamilton that closed its doors 2 months ago because of this government. And the reason I decided to put my name on the ballot and run was last summer when Doug Ford and Sylvia Jones started announcing that they were going to target supervised consumption sites and they were going to target people living outdoors that I nothing to care for. And here we are today, seeing them follow through on their promise to attack the community that we care for, that we know has a right to exist, and that we know is being terribly harmed by this current government. Bill 6 will not accomplish anything that the government says it should. It will not address the homelessness crisis. It will not house one single person who is currently living outdoors. Bill 6 won't address the overdose crisis. It won't save lives. It won't reduce the harms that we're seeing in our community. It won't accomplish any of that. Bill 6 is a performative, tough-on-crime distraction so the government can say that they're doing something while actually doing nothing. So we need to continue to stand up. We need to continue to raise the voices for all of our community members who we care for, who deserve so much better of their representatives. So today we join in calling for housing for all, immediate investment in supportive housing so we can move people from parks into permanent, dignified, safe housing. We need to immediately double Careful Works and ODSP payments. We need to provide greater protections for our renters who are facing evictions. And we need to reopen the doors of our safe consumption sites to save lives every day at a time when they are losing far too many. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm joined here by my colleagues on Bill 6. My name is Catherine McConney. I'm the MPP for Ottawa Centre. And I came to this legislature to join this caucus. I came here because I knew that the provincial government has the ability to end homelessness. This is where it can happen. We know that people can be housed. We know that people can get the supports they need to stay housed. We know that people can be given the funds they need through OW, ODSP, housing benefits, whatever it takes to keep their housing. We can keep people housed and we can bring them out of shelter and out of encampments. And this is where it can happen. But what we are dealing with here is an unthoughtful, uncaring, undemocratic government that, as my colleague said, is pushing through this performative bill that will harm people that we care deeply about. We know what works. We know that it can happen. We have the ability to either harm or heal. And this bill is choosing harm. We'll stand with you. We will not give up. We will keep up the fight to ensure that we are building the housing that people need, the supports they need, and it does not have to take years. It can happen, and it can happen now, and we will keep working with you and pushing for it now. Thank you.
Thank you, and please welcome members of the Liberal and Green Caucus. Thanks, everybody. My name is Ashley Clancy. I'm the MPP for Kitchener Centre. It's a site where our CTS was closed. I'm here on behalf of our party, Mike Schreiner. This government has abandoned vulnerable people. You know, we spend more subsidizing Galen Weston's hydro than we do on providing affordable housing in this province. It's a shame. I'm a social worker. I know that I want to be worked out of a job, and the way that we do that is eliminating poverty, addressing people's mental health and addictions, and keeping people housed. We know that it is more humane and costs less to just keep people housed. They get so sick when they're living outside. 50% of Canadians are living paycheck to paycheck, and StatsCan said inequity in our country is at an all-time low. It is as bad as it's ever been in Canadian history, which is totally unacceptable. We know that this bill makes no sense on so many grounds. This government would rather spend $133,000 a year to put somebody in jail. Where they're going to sleep, I'm not sure. Our jails are overcrowded, and they're being stated by the judges as inhumane conditions. So we're taking someone from living outside, spending $133,000 a year to put them in inhumane conditions. And what happens on the other end of that? You and I all know. People get spat out onto the street without even a bus ticket on how to find somewhere to go, without even a phone call or a gracious sense of support. So we know this is just a turnstile to pump people back out onto the streets, and we have done nothing. This is a failed American policy. It would cost between $6,000 and $7,000 to double the shelter allowance for people on ODSP. It would cost $40,000 to make sure that somebody has a supportive housing. They have banned my CTS, and now we're going to criminalize people for doing drugs outside. This makes no sense. People have nowhere to go. And that's not even to mention the financialization of housing. In my riding alone, for every one affordable housing we build, we lose 39 in the private sector. Swaths and swaths of people who are living in affordable housing in the private sector are being pumped out onto the streets. We are hemorrhaging affordable housing in this province, and there is zero action on this, and a complete lack of support. In my riding alone, we just closed the youth addiction services. Another one closed down the street. We closed sexual abuse prevention services in Burlington, and they were forced to sign NDA agreements. It's totally unacceptable. AMO says we're going to go from 80,000 people living on shelters to 300,000. This is incredible. I live in a city of 250,000. I can't imagine that more than the population of Kitchener will live unhoused by 2035. That blows my mind, and it is a total disgrace. We need a government to act. We need to hold this government accountable for their inaction, and we need to be transparent, not performative politics instead of facts, not rhetoric instead of solutions. And so I'm so proud to stand across party lines and to be co-sponsoring a bill with Lee Fairclough of Etobicoke Lakeshore. Woo! Yes, we are with you across party lines. Our bill called Homelessness Ends with Housing, Bill 28. I hope you'll all write to your MPPs wherever you are, and I'm sure that people across the province are saying pass this bill. This is what all the experts in AMO are saying is what we need. We need housing benefits. We need goals for supportive housing. We need goals for affordable housing. We need transparency, data on how many unsheltered people die every year on these streets. We need data on how many units of supportive housing and affordable housing we do so we can hold this government accountable. And we need an advisory committee to ensure that all of the decisions that are made are not based on X or para-polia. We need to make decisions based on what lived experience, Indigenous people, not-for-profit, frontline workers, experts, and government workers say is the best path forward. Let's follow Manitoba. Let's let's follow Houston, let's follow Finland, who are doing and putting policy forward and spending money in a way that works. And permanent housing solutions for all. Thanks for everything, everybody, and keep it up!
Hello everyone, and I am so pleased to be co-sponsoring Ranger Bill with the MPP for Kitchener Center. She is clearly passionate about these issues, and I am too. So my name is Lee Fairclough, and I am the MPP for Etobicoke Lakeshore. I am also the liberal critic of mental health, addictions, and hospitals. And you know, this bill won't make any. It will make any community safer. Housing is a human right, and housing is the solution. And this is what we're trying to do through Bill 28. Bill 6 is really so we introduced this bill because, as we've said, we believe we've got to be working at all levels of government to make sure that we can support people in the way we're doing. And this is solvable. It's doable. And it's affordable. Just from all the stuff, how we can make that affordable. I will say too, as a former hospital CEO, I speak anecdotally that the many people who are ending up in emergency departments, who are stabilized and then outsourced to providers, have only one option, which is shelter. And I think it's to, speaking the government's own language from this, about the financial issues of the community. There we said for every dollar keeping them there longer. The budget includes funding for because we need to start to do people. We invested that money in different ways. So, and I would also just say that I actually believe the board of the team is out of touch with what Canadians are looking for. When you ask Canadians, what do they want to see? Here in my first community of Etobicoke Lakeshore, you see a large number of teams, rising number of people that are living in the community. 80% of Canadians say they want prioritizing the rise of housing and transitional solutions and help them to create jobs and reduce growth. So this housing crisis is also very much an important. And yesterday when I met with representatives of the two banks in Washington, they are seeing growing interest because of that are working but actually need to get to eat so they can be sheltered or they lost their job. They live in cars. They put on a suit to try and go to work every day to rely on food banks. Their mental health as well, understandably, it's a high risk as they struggle. And we know that actually 61% of Ontarians are worried that they can use their shelter if their financial resources change, and 35% say it's impacting their income. So this is, we talked about going to petition food housing, but we'll be able to relate very directly to the community. So this afternoon, I'm going to fight back, my colleagues are going to fight back. Your right to be heard in these services. We don't have the option to send our suggestions to you. But I actually feel like we could offer something that could be helpful to the public and
We will do our best to advocate for all of you to make sure that you can get the real solutions.
How does that make any sense? Now, I will say to some degree, I do agree with it. There are laws that are fighting this problem. We have a premier who's under investigation for racketeering, and backroom deals under RCMP criminal investigation. And there is something that needs to be done about that. And going after some of our most vulnerable members in society is not one of those things. There's nothing to address that. I have personally seen patients who are struggling with their addictions, hanging off various substances. And there are predatory investigators that threaten to beat them up if they go into substances. There's nothing in this legislation to address that. And there's nothing to address the fact that this company is doing nothing except making insurance in our healthcare system and across our housing sector. If there's one key message that all of us in agency to the premier and his government is that what this bill should have said is that we need healthcare, not handcuffs. We need housing, not handcuffs. And we need hope, not handcuffs. All this bill does is punish people and vilify people who really show signs of struggling with their mental health and addictions. I'm so proud and grateful that every single one of you is here to tell your story and share your advocacy. Because this is a government that doesn't want to do it. In about 45 minutes, I'll be in the chamber with them. To block any attempt that they are trying to push through to stop all debate and public hearings on Bill 6. It's whatever power I have to slow that down and stop that while I think of my way. Regardless of what happens, your voice is here. The stories that you are telling from your own experience and from the people that you know needs to be heard. Raise them and help share their stories.
Thank you to everyone. And just after today, we are going to continue to organize. We are going to continue to build. We are going to resist this harmful bill. You can connect with Empowerment Justice Coalition to get involved. Write your MPP. If this bill passes today, we will fight it in the courts. And most importantly, as always, we will do what we always have done. We will show up for each other. We will Kevin wants to have something he'd like to
I kind of do the buzzwords and slogan sometimes, and I came up with this stuff and did off the top of my head and watched all this and so I thought we could really chant, a couple of years, many minors who might be around, and we might get a little bit salty. The chant is, I have 0 bucks, Bill 6 sucks. I have 0 bucks, Bill 6 sucks.
I have zero bucks. Bill 6 sucks. I have zero bucks. Bill 6 sucks. I have zero bucks. Bill 6 sucks.
Thank you to everyone for coming out today. The rally for Senate Bill 6. As I mentioned earlier, this bill is going to get passed this afternoon. Now they know what my face looks like. I can't go in there because they already know I'm the organizer. But if you go in, you want to disrupt the legislature. I'm not telling you what to do, but if that is something you're interested in doing, come see me. Come see me. We'll talk about it. But just so you know, this becomes law today. But as we all mentioned, fight doesn't stop here. We are planning litigation, a lawsuit against this particular bill, so that we can help hopefully shut it down. All right. Thank you again for everyone.